Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for the next session of our Venture Investor Series. For those of you who don't know, my name is Andy Langsford. I'm the founder of Venture Real Estate Group. We're an investment, development, and brokerage firm based here in the Great Northwest in Bellevue, Washington. So we're going along here. We're wrapping up our sessions. We've only got a couple left. And just as a reminder, we're doing a smaller session on some apartment projects from really 7 to about 60 units, and then 100 plus unit projects. And we're very fortunate to have Ron join us today. Thanks for joining us, Ron.
Hey, thanks for inviting me, Andy.
Of course. So I'm just going to share Ron's amazing bio. I've known Ron for a very long time. I'll share a story how we met, actually. So Ron is the CEO of RW West Consultants and Inspections. His company has been providing commercial, multifamily, and residential inspections since 1986, and his company has actually performed over 25,000 inspections.
And we've seen a lot of stuff.
I bet you have, Ron. Yeah, I know you have. So I want to share a quick story how I met Ron, actually. So it was a long time ago on my very first flip in my early 20s. We got it under contract. Buyer's agent couldn't show up, and I was the owner, and I figured I better show up for this inspection. Ron was there, and we're going through the inspection, and I'm thinking, man, this guy is good. He's catching everything. I mean, things that I didn't know, I didn't see. And when we're done, came to talk with Ron, and I think Ron thought, man, this guy's going to be upset. I said, Ron, pleasure to meet you. Can I have your card? Ever since then, Ron has done a lot of inspections for us because I knew that Ron just was very detailed. So,
well, Andy, I have to tell you, I was very impressed that a young man in his 20s was doing the first flip before HGTV.
That's true, isn't it? It was a long time ago.
That's a long time ago,
Yeah.
but it's glad to see you continue to evolve.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Well, ditto, that's for sure. But thanks for joining us, Ron.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it. So we're going to jump right in. So I'm going to just ask Ron some really good questions. And we're going to focus really on on apartments, but one of them, which is kind of used as an example, is a 7-unit apartment that we syndicated. It's a smaller deal that we did. What we did was we bought the 7-unit. I walked into the garage and noticed, man, in this garage there's a toilet there. So I wanted to add an 8th unit to these apartments because I would still look at smaller deals, and if there's room to raise rents and to create value, we'll do it. So first question, Ron. What would you look for when adding a unit to a building?
Well, Andy, I think you hit it on the head when you said you walked into the garage and there was a toilet there. That indicated that the plumbing was already there, and that's kind of one of the primary considerations that you look at when you have to start moving. Plumbing especially drains around because they're typically, when you're doing 7-unit type buildings, the floors are concrete. So to move drains around,
It's expensive.
It can be very expensive. So that's one of the primary things that you want to look for to keep your costs down. And just how you can switch things around, your egress for windows, those type things. So you're a very astute investor.
Well, I try to be. I try to be. Okay, no, that's good. Anything else on when looking at adding a unit that you would look at?
Well, when looking at other things that I would look at, as I mentioned, egress. I would also, how your potential tenants are going to get in and out of the building, how it relates to like where your laundry areas are and those type things.
Yeah, that's good.
So those are all kind of good things to look at when you're formulating your plan.
Actually, our when entering, so where the garage is, you just go in, but then on the other side there's the laundry room.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take out the laundry room because we could put all the units were plumbed for washers and dryers. So I'm walking through the building like, let's just connect these washer and dryers, and take away the laundry room. So we got a garage and we got a laundry room side by side, and it's gonna just rip that all out and just make a unit there.
Well, you definitely go from non-income producing to producing at that point.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. So no, that's good. Okay, next question. When inspecting and doing a PCA, which is a property condition assessment, on 10 to 50 unit apartment complexes, what are some of the most common items most even sophisticated investors miss or don't think of?
A lot of times when you have some of the larger units like that, they'll have decks, and decks can be very problematic, especially if they're not installed correctly.
Especially in the Northwest.
Especially in the Northwest.
Yeah, that's for sure.
One of the other things is also when you get to those size units, 90% of the time you'll have a flat roof area. And so when inspecting the roof, sometimes they don't have access, most times they do. But another consideration is that when you have flat roofs, there might be some leaking going on that you're completely unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes that leaking may not even be visible. That's why if you're having a PCA, it would also be good to have a thermal imaging inspection, at least of that upper floor,
Mm-hmm.
because there are times when it's revealed water damage and leaking to us that was just not visible.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, that's big. We just did an inspection last week where that thermal imaging, it's actually really clear where that water is.
Yes.
Which is surprising how clear that is. So that's a good point. Water in the Northwest is, obviously water is good, but it can be bad.
Uncontrolled water is never good.
Yes, exactly. Good way of saying that. Uncontrolled water is no good. No, that's good. Okay, question number 3. Many investors don't consider the actual cost of repairs when investing in property, which is obviously very true. A property's ROI, return on investment, is highly dependent on repair costs, especially when they are substantial. Do you have any stories of very high cost issues that you've seen with inspections?
How many stories do you want?
A couple is good. Stories are good.
Well, we had one commercial building that we inspected, and the client was kind of going back and forth about the cost of inspection and what he would get out of it. During the course of the inspection, we discovered quite a bit of damage to some of the stucco. It was not, to the normal person, it was not very visible, but when you have stucco, you can have very fine cracks, and those cracks can allow water penetration. So in this particular instance, the cost for the repairs on just the stucco were over $200,000.
Wow. Just for the stucco?
Just for the stucco. We're not talking about anything else in the building, just for the stucco.
Wow.
One of the other things with that particular building is that part of the structure was elevated and had what we refer to as a pan type construction, where they put concrete on top of metal pans for structure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those metal pans had all corroded out, so a lot of the concrete was really no longer properly supported.
Mm-hmm.
That ended up being an additional $150,000 to fix that. So for the fee of our inspection, that particular investor saved himself $350,000.
Yeah, that's big. Those things, that's why I know a lot of investors, been doing this for a long time, who they don't do inspections. We've bought a lot of property, and we've helped a lot of clients buy some really good real estate. But I know that everything's fine until it's not. It's like everything's great until you miss something. Like if you didn't find that concrete issue that supports the entire structure, 5 years goes by or 10 years goes by, and that's discovered. it's a big deal, and people don't understand the importance of the day of the inspection, or preparing, or just in your due diligence timeline. That's part of why we do this. Is you have to be prepared, and you need to have the right people. You know.
And just to go along with what you're saying, it's not just when you're buying property, but when you're leasing property. Also, a property condition assessment is very important, because you're basically, when you're leasing, you're saying that I accept the condition of what everything is, and when the lease is over, I will bring that property back to the same condition that it was when I initiated the lease.
Yeah.
But if you haven't had an inspection and you don't have a baseline, you don't know where that is. So now you have a dispute.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You
It's
know,
true.
and so the owner, he could say, we had a brand new roof, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And the roof could have been 20 years old.
Yeah.
So,
Or it's a newer roof.
Or it's a
I've
newer
heard that
roof.
a million times. Newer roof. When was it installed? 2000? You know?
what does that really mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, it's good. Yeah, really good. Good thoughts. Okay, next question. What are the best repairs you've seen? And I specifically put apartment repairs. Do you have any insider information on the best repairs that you've seen done?
best repairs or renovations?
Honestly, either.
Okay.
I mean, I think from either renovation or repair side, so many times it's not done right.
Yes.
You know, more times than I ever would have thought 20 years ago on, wow, this is the type of work that can be done. I mean, there's a lot of great people out there that we obviously will do everything we can to find them who do good work, but just wanted to get your thoughts, either of them.
Well, just a quick story is, one is everybody wants to get a good price when they're doing work, all right? And so in our business,
It's true.
going for the cheapest bid, most times it's not a good thing. We were actually
No, it's not.
We were actually doing a re-inspection on a property, and that work was supposed to have been completed and done, and it was done very shoddy, and in some instances it wasn't done. The contractor happened to be on site, and so having a conversation with the contractor, this is what the contractor's response was when I said to him, well, this isn't done correctly. We still have damage here. His response was, well, the owner didn't want to pay me enough money to do it right.
Wow. Wow.
You can't even make that up, right?
Yeah.
So you took on the job, you knew you weren't going to do it right, you know, because you were low bid. So, you know, cheap is not always good. One of the things that I will say, when you are doing renovations, depending upon if you're doing like for a high-end complex or low-end complex, if you're doing a low-end complex, I would recommend installing finishes that cannot be easily damaged. You know, for example, counters, you might want to do tile or granite, so if someone decides to set a hot pot on there, it's not going to damage the surface. Mm-hmm. Even some of the laminate flooring that they have these days, some of them are very moisture resistant because you never know what a tenant is going to do. Sometimes, you know, they probably don't mop anymore.
Yeah.
But water can damage those surfaces, so just using a little higher grade materials will definitely prevent you from having to come back and replace that and redo it. So
Yeah, that's big. Especially, on flooring, we do that. On any of our renovations, we'll put just like you're saying, a better quality floor in, and it makes a huge difference because it's a lot thicker. Especially the grade nowadays, I think that it's massively improved.
And don't do carpet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, which is a good thing. A lot of what we're finding these days is that you have more and more people that have pets.
Oh yeah.
Especially because of the pandemic, where you can't have friends, you can have pets.
Yeah. Hang out with your pets.
Hang out with your pets.
Yeah.
So those laminate floors, those hardwood type flooring, they're definitely much more desirable.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's good. Okay, how would you coach an investor when they're first looking at a building and the land for signs of a good piece of real estate? I know when I walk out and I'm looking at a piece of real estate, I'm looking at an apartment deal, I look at everything. I look at the land, I look at how wet is the lot, what's next door, what's down the street, just to really know a piece of property, you know?
Well, I think you hit on a lot of key points. Definitely what's around you, right? You know, if there's a lot of vagrancy around, it's gonna definitely inhibit your ability to rent the property, and also attract those tenants that have an ability to make sure you get paid every month. Those are are definitely key things. Also, too, just when you're looking at the outside, of the building, wood is always a good product to have on the outside.
And let me just say, I want to make sure I ask that question really well.
Yes.
Like a good piece of real estate from your perspective. I know we're talking about it, but just...
Yes. A good piece of real estate is definitely, in real estate we always say location, location, location. All right.
Yeah.
That's one of the primary considerations. Also look at how close is shopping, those type things. What about parking? Are all my tenants
parking is huge.
All my tenants going to be able to have a good parking area?
Condition of the parking lot.
Condition of the parking lot. No one wants to, drive their, nice car through gravel and puddles. You can never keep it clean, right?
Exactly.
So those are definitely a lot of considerations when you're evaluating a piece of property.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. Good thoughts. This one I like. Ron, I want to ask you, what locations are you mostly in these days, Ron? Where are you doing most of your inspections? Seattle, East Side, North End, South End?
We're actually doing most of our inspections this
All
year.
over?
Well, we are all over, but we actually graph where the majority of our inspections are. And so this year, the majority of our inspections have been in the Seattle area. Bellevue takes a close second to that. I think as we've been kind of going through the pandemic and all the social stuff that we've been going on.
And we're socially distanced.
We are socially distanced. So Andy, I'm not coming in if we're not socially distanced. But Seattle definitely has been our most, where we've been doing most of our work for investors.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, thoughts on Seattle.
Yes.
And the Seattle market. But more and more, my sense is, because I do know quite a few very large investors, very large developers and property owners who are leaving Seattle.
Yes.
They're like, I'm out. But I know a lot who are staying and are moving into Seattle. So I think overall, based on what's going on, it's a couple of years here, we'll I think see some things not change or get a little bit worse, quite honestly. But overall, I think Seattle's going to be just fine. I think it'll respond and rebound.
I agree with you. Everything kind of goes through cycles. And right now, Seattle seems to be going through a cycle where it needs to be made a more friendly environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And that plays a huge part. But then also, with that being said, it also can open up the opportunity for some deals. we kind of saw, unfortunately, what has happened with West Seattle with the bridge.
We have a building that we just bought there, and it's anyway. Not to cut you off.
No, but it's impactful, right? So
It is.
So we'll get through it.
Yeah.
It'll take a little time.
That will. Oh, it's good. Okay, a couple other questions. What appliances last longest? Get to some quick questions here. Get your thoughts on appliances, Ron. Especially when you start buying a lot of appliances.
Refrigerators last forever, right? But if you're doing investing, I would not recommend the ice makers and the water dispensers.
No on the ice maker water dispensers.
Depends on if you're doing higher end or lower end. If you're doing higher end, yes. If you're doing lower end, definitely not. Just simply because of the potential for water lines breaking and damage.
Mm-hmm.
Stoves also last forever. Dishwashers, they can be kind of fickle.
They can be fickle.
And if you're doing lower end, I would recommend staying away from garbage disposals.
Don't do lower end garbage disposals.
Don't do lower end garbage disposals. Some people just don't know what you can put in and what you can't put in. So those end up being maintenance issues for you.
Yeah, no, that's good. How about siding? What siding would you use, and what have you seen perform well over the years?
Definitely the cement fiberboard siding.
Okay.
Wood is always good with the cement fiberboard siding. Just with any material, it has to be installed correctly. I would stay away from any type of stucco or synthetic stucco, just because of the maintenance involved. And it's one of the products that's done incorrectly a high percentage of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is very true. Okay, 2 more questions, Ron. We're almost there.
I don't know anything else, Andy.
Yeah, sure. Ron, what do you think of mold in the Northwest? I mean, we've seen some properties with mold. What do you think of it? I think it's a lot worse, where a lot of people don't realize that they have mold in their homes or in their buildings. They should go in the attic, check it out.
They should definitely go in the attic. We probably see 60% of the houses and properties we inspect that have attics have mold or some form thereof.
So everyone, if you heard that correctly, 60% of properties, Ron's been in, you've done over 25,000 inspections.
Yes.
That's an epidemic?
No, let's not call it a pandemic.
Yes.
No, you said epidemic. I'm sorry.
Yeah. In the Northwest.
In the Northwest.
It's crazy.
But also, too, along with that is, surprisingly, for a lot of people, even when we're inspecting new construction, we find mold.
Mm-hmm. I believe it. It's quick.
It goes quick. And in the Northwest, when you're building in wet conditions or not storing your materials correctly, it has the ability to create mold. And so we do mold testing and air quality testing as well, just because we see so much of it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good, Ron. It's really good. Okay, any last parting words of advice on the inspection side for our folks that are watching this?
Not because I'm in the business, but just because of everything I've seen over the last 34 years, I would never buy anything without having it inspected. Because you never, ever know. We've done inspections for folks that have forgone the inspection just because they wanted the property so bad. And in some instances, we've had to be the bearer of bad news. That in one particular instance where we had to tell a client, you have $100,000 of must-do stuff. not improvements or making the property pretty, but must do stuff. So,
Yeah.
so
It's not a good conversation to have.
it's not a good conversation to have. So my advice would be never buy anything without having it inspected, and the inspection is the cheapest insurance you can buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ron, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
no,
Appreciate it.
thank you for having me. It's
course.
always good seeing you.
Oh yeah.
And just want to tell you that, you've grown a lot, and you do such a great job, and your company has so much integrity,
Oh, thank you, Ron.
and that's why we appreciate working with you.
Oh yeah, thank you, Ron. Well, that's a ditto on that one. So we've known each other for a long time, and that's why we use you, Ron. So appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Ron's phenomenal. If you need a great inspector, definitely would recommend Ron. Just a great guy overall. We'll see you on the next one, everyone.